attendants that if the fire alarm sounds, you should leave by the nearest fire exit, which may be behind you, and meet at the top of Mill Hill car park. Please use either the central stairwell and main exit from the building or the Mill Hill car park exit and refrain from using the lifts. So welcome to this extraordinary meeting of the Council on Monday, the 8th of June. I am Councillor Anderson, Chairman of the Council, and I will be chairing this evening's meeting. I would like to remind everybody present to use the microphones when speaking and do not speak too close to the microphone to maintain sound quality of the recording and broadcast. Only 2 microphones in addition to mine can be used at the same time. Please also make sure that all electronic devices are switched to silent and notifications are muted. Item 1 on the agenda is apologies for absence. I have received apologies so far from Councillor Bateman, Foreman, Hollick, Sarfast, Worrell and Taylor. Are there any further apologies for absence? Okay, that's fine. I'd like to remind all members this evening to make sure you've signed the attendance sheet before this meeting has started. If a member arrives after the start of the consideration of the motion, they will not be able to vote. If you do have to leave before the meeting ends, please record your time of departure on the attendance sheet. If you are leaving before the meeting ends, you will also need to record your time of departure on the attendance sheet. Also like to remind all councillors of the standards of conduct expected within the council meetings, and all councillors that the group leaders have signed the Debate Not Hate Charter, which is displayed in the chamber area this evening. We're all here to conduct the council's business, and we should do this in accordance with our code of conduct. Councillors should stand when speaking and speak one at a time through myself. Item 2 on the agenda is declarations of members' interests. We only have one item of business on today's agenda. Does anybody have an interest to declare in relation to this? May I remind councillors of the email sent by Democratic Services Manager last week about the changes to members' declarations of interest, and ensure you have notified Democratic Services team accordingly. Item 3 on the agenda was public speaking. I have had no requests from members of the public, so I will move directly to item 4. Item 4 is Community Governance Review, Market Harborough, Phase 1 outcomes. I appreciate it is unusual to have an extraordinary meeting for this purpose, but in order to ensure we meet the timeframes for review, we need to make this decision before our next scheduled meeting of the Council, and I'm grateful to councillors for coming along tonight to support the process. I will now invite Councillor Dan to present the report.
Good evening, Chair, and welcome to everybody. Following a significant amount of work by the Community Governance Review Group and latterly by members of the public, a poll showed a significant level of support for establishing a parish council in Market Harborough. Thank you to the elections team for organising the poll in their usual exemplary manner, and to the review group and members of the public and also officers for preparing the report. Ultimately, Council has to base its decision on what is right and best for community governments in the area. One of the key themes emerging from consultations has been the likely impact of local government reorganisation. At this stage, we do not know what this will mean. What we do know is that Market Harborough does not have a lower level of governance, so we'll find it difficult to directly influence decisions being taken on their behalf. Another concern is the cost, particularly for residents, to increases from council tax due to precepts. That argument will be for an elected parish council. I'm mindful that every decision taken by a parish council can have consequences on cost. Nonetheless, when considering the arguments put forward from community governance perspective, the working group, I recommended to support the creation of a parish council in principle. If council supports the proposals tonight, we will begin a second phase of consultation on the more technical issues of numbers of wards, councillors, transition and precepts. The Community Review Group will meet during the coming months and bring a final report to Council in September. I therefore would like to propose the recommendations with a slight tweak, with your indulgence, Chair. On recommendation C, add "and leader" after Community Governance Review Group. You want me to read out what it says in total?
Yes, please.
Okay. Delegate to the Head of Democratic Services, Elections and Monitoring Officer in consultation with members of the Community Governance Review Group and leader to approve the second phase consultation documents, including the warding options. Therefore, put that as a proposition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dan. Do I have a seconder for this report? Councillor Page.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm seconding this as Chair of the Community Governance Review Committee, but I think Councillor Dan has effectively articulated our position very clearly. Nothing further to say.
Thank you very much, Councillor Page. Does anybody wish to comment or ask a question on this report? Councillor Golden.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I would like to make a few comments about this report and to absolutely welcome it, and particularly welcome the work that's been done by our officers. This is a really thorough report which gives you all the information you need, all the background in it, and obviously to thank the panel that's done this. And really the case is quite overwhelming, isn't it? I mean, in one particular area, I think it's the Wellington Place area, I think it was about 88% in favour. So there was absolutely no doubt, and that was replicated across the town in those voting. So, as I say, the case for doing this is absolutely overwhelming. But, Chairman, we've been here before. We could have done this 6 months ago. We could have made this decision. We could be well down the track now. And, of course, it is inextricably linked to local government reorganisation and what presumably we're going to find out in a matter of weeks in terms of the government's intentions. So I am concerned about the delay it's caused and some of the misleading and inaccurate information that's been put out by some members. I mean, you know, we need to remember that we went for this non-binding poll because in the previous council meeting when this was considered, the Conservative group said they wouldn't support it unless there was acceptance that would happen. Well, we've done that now. We've got the result. So we hope that everyone on that side of the chamber is going to support that, because we on this side have been very consistent and that this is the right way forward for Market Harborough. And as I've made the case before quite strongly, that when we do move to this new structure, which we don't yet know what it's going to be, if anyone believes that setting up town or parish councils is going to be a priority for a unitary authority, which is likely to have its headquarters based in Hinckley or Glenfield, or dare a worst case scenario in Leicester, it's just not going to happen. It's going to have so many things it needs to be doing. And similarly for those services that a town council provides and might look to provide in the future, and to keep that local representation that's so incredibly important with this, whatever the outcome is going to be a more remote form of local government that we have at the moment with this authority. So I'm absolutely in favour of this. I note the comments that were made that Market Harborough could be left behind if we don't do this, and that's a strong reason for doing it. I note the remarkable turnout of 88%, as I've already referred to, and I note that the council tax, there was a lot of attempts to, frankly, to scare people into thinking that it was going to cost a huge amount of money and that this authority was going to impose large amounts of extra council tax. Utterly untrue and rubbish. It'll be a matter for the town council if it comes into existence, what they do about that after the first year. And it really was that in some cases it was trying to scare people into not supporting it because it might like that. And I think those that did that really do need to take that into account and to apologise. And the final point I want to make, because it is inextricably linked to local government review, and what's happening on there. Noting Mr. Councillor Wellband's recent letter to Mr. Pennycook about that, that doesn't change. The council's position is abundantly clear. He didn't need to send that unless they were thinking of changing their mind. Complete waste. The council's position is set out. We've gone in with the other districts to put that in, and this is part of what we need to be doing to set up a town council. But of course, what he couldn't go on to say in that, Chair, is what he does support and what the Conservative group do support, because they are divided in that as to whether some of them want a unitary county and some of them do support North City South, which is what we support. But of course, that's a slightly another argument. But I wanted to make that point because I think, you know, we're making an important decision tonight to leave Market Harborough when we're abolished in the best possible position for the future. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Galton. Just obviously a reminder, we're discussing CGR, not LGR this evening, but appreciate your comments. Councillor Knowles.
Thank you. I mean, the two are linked. Local government reorganisation is going to leave Market Harborough very much devoid of any very, very local representation. I think this is an important decision tonight, one I'll certainly be supporting. I think we've had some very good debates at the panel about this. We've discussed all sorts of reasons to do this, and it's very clear to me that the public opinion is clearly in support of this. If we don't go ahead with this, we could well find, I think Councillor Galton's put this very well, we could well find that the most local form of government that the people of Market Harborough have got is tens and tens of miles away, which is no way to give local government to our people. We've got to make sure that the local government they have is responsible, is local, and can best provide for them. And I absolutely support having this local government review carried through now to the next phase. I think it's important, and I think that we should and could have done this much sooner. The pity is that we didn't do it sooner. The public opinion, however, has spoken, and it's very, very clear. When you're talking about 85% of people saying, yes, we support this, I think that message is loud and clear. So I hope, Chairman, that we can put this to the vote and that we can actually get it pushed through and move forward. It's important, and I think it's important that we're protecting Harborough going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Knowles. Councillor Wellband.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm not going to repeat the debate we've had over whether we should have a town council or a parish council. It's clear from the consultation and from the non-binding poll that there is support for a council at that level. I would, however, say to Councillor Galton, 88% of the town didn't vote in favour of a town council. Actually, the turnout was 24%. So that's 3/4 of the town who have not made a view known on whether they want this council or not. And quite frankly, people don't sit on Facebook following these debates. So I do think there is some work that the community governance group has to do to make sure that people are more involved in this process and understand what's going on. Because when it comes to the elections for this new authority in a year's time, I want those seats to be contested. I don't want it to be just the same people standing for the same seats over again, as we've seen in other parishes in our district. But we're not going to stand in the way of this, and we're going to go through with it to the next stage. Those are my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wellband. Councillor Asher.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's very clear from the consultation that there is a strong desire for the parish council in Market Harborough. The area I represent, as Councillor Galton's already touched on, was the massive percentage with 88% saying yes. To go back to Councillor Wellband about the turnout, I think the work that has been done is clear in here that there was a lot of effort put in with a leaflet included in every single council tax bill. So to say that people don't spend their time sitting on social media, they do get a council tax bill and they can see it on there. There was also paid adverts in Harborough FM, paid adverts on Facebook and Instagram, and in-person events. So I think with every election, you do tend to get certain people that are very invested in it and certain people that can't really be bothered to vote and don't really care. So I think to say that the majority of the town don't want a town council is not true. And I think, if rather than saying that, instead of what else can we do apart from dragging people to the polling booths, which, is highly illegal. So I've always supported the creation of a parish council. And in fact, I feel it's a real shame that the full governance review was not approved previously. With many other areas now looking at potential changes, I believe a comprehensive review would have been a more efficient and cost-effective approach. However, we are where we are, and despite the delays caused by the previous decision, voting in favour of this proposal tonight will hopefully keep us on track to establish a parish council before the local governance reorganisation takes effect. And for those reasons, I will be supporting this recommendation this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Asher. Councillor Woodywess.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so I'm truly delighted to be able to vote on approving the second phase of the establishment of the Town Council for the community of Market Harborough today. This marks the first time this community will have a voice of its own affairs since 1972, when the district councils came into being. We know, of course, this process was initiated by the announcements of the government is to abolish districts and county councils and to form unitary ones through a local government reorganisation order. I recall that when we sat in informal council and the officers briefed us on LGR, after a short stunned silence, my first response was, we need a town council for Market Harborough. And I was pleased to say the then cabinet agreed. And so the possibility of a community governance review to look at the establishment of a town council was brought to full council. We all know what happened then. So I cannot let this moment pass without reminding the chamber that the Tory opposition voted against this proposal, and on it's the not right time platform. But if not now, then I would ask when. However, the evidence was there that the community did want a town council, and thanks to the neighbourhood forums, the arguments were made to support this process, and a subsequent community petition showed overwhelming support. And this triggered the CGR process that we are currently voting on. It was despite the Tories taking the "it will be expensive" line, but then that's the cost of democracy. So to round up, I'd like to thank the staff of the Democratic Services for their excellent work here. Also thank my fellow councillors on the CGR work group, which was ably chaired by Councillor David Page. And I look forward to seeing the final shape of our new town council, having it up and working for our community from May next year.
Thank you, Councillor Woodywess. Councillor James.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd like to thank Councillor Dan and the officers for presenting this report. It's got an incredible amount of detail in here, and it's fascinating to read a lot of the comments in the back here that people have made when they were consulted on this. So I do fully support it going forward. It's also interesting to see in there the comments about the open space management and the divisive situation we've got, where some people like me get their grass cut on the council tax and others have to pay a premium for it. And I think actually if we were to go forward on a parish council, we'd be able to find a way and resolve this in a much fairer way. If we can get through some of the contractual issues. So I really do support it. I mean, there's comments in there about the financial information. It's so difficult to know where we are with the financial information because we don't know yet what form of unitary council we will have. If we listen to government, of course, we're going to save millions by this reorganisation. So maybe there won't be a financial problem at the end of it. But that will come later when we get into some of the detail. I mean, also thinking about a parish council doing this, their overhead. So, and if parish councils decide to cut grass and pick litter up and do road sweeping and things like that, the overheads are likely to be lower on a parish council than they would be on the unitary council. So I don't think we should worry too much about the financial aspects at this stage. There's been an overwhelming vote to go forward on this, and I think from all our point of view, it'd be sensible to take it to the next step and move on from there. So thank you very much for such a comprehensive report, and it was quite interesting to read it this afternoon. There's some good data in there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor James. Councillor Dr. Bremner.
Sorry, could I direct members to page 104? it was mentioned earlier that warding would be decided later, but you can see from those pages that the subgroup have already looked at the warding in a possible new area for a parish council. So you can see Little Bowden represented by 4, Logan represented by 3, Arden by 3, Welland by 5, and Wellington Place by 1 parish councillor. What I would like to say about the possible parish council is that I support the recommendation, but remind members that residents of Market Harborough already pay a special expense in Market Harborough, in addition to the council tax, for the things like grass cutting, for the things like Welland Park, much like many of the things that this proposed parish council will have charge of. Therefore, if the parish council is established with new parish councillors, hopefully from a diverse area of greater than this room, greater than the neighbourhood forums, into the youth council and further beyond that, that they have a benchmark figure of a precept for the parish council, which is already currently set for Market Harborough. So when the parish council comes into being and they have the various assets that they might have, or they might have something that can be income generating, they're going to have to balance this. Being a parish council is not a simple job, as those on parish councils know. There's a responsibility for the finances and for the area that they represent. So I just would like to put that on record, that you have a benchmark figure from the precept already charged for Market Harborough residents. Do you want to stay at the same figure? Do you want to go above that figure? Do you want to go below that figure? It's just a helpful guide, I think, for when parish councils come into being, that they already have that kind of ballpark to play with. But as Councillor Asher said, I think we do need to get a broader brush of advertisement for this parish council, if it comes into being, to have a much broader base of people coming in to represent the town. The younger, the middle-aged, the older. So I hope that those councillors in Market Harborough, some of whom are not here this evening, which is unfortunate, will work in that role and work with the elections team to publicise what possibly, unfortunately, and will come into being as a parish council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dr. Bremner. Councillor King.
Yeah, Chairman, thanks very much. I've heard some, anyway, just to comment about a few things. So first of all, local government reorganisation has been mentioned a few times by one or two people. That's not going to leave Market Harborough devoid of local representations. Whatever the outcome of that, there will be representatives to whatever new council there is, and they will be on a purport, but we don't know how many there are, because nobody actually knows what those arrangements will be yet, because we don't know what the councils will be. And so when we know that, we'll know, and that'll be the same for everywhere on whatever the representation basis is. It's also true that there hasn't been a lack of representation in Market Harborough. There's I think it's nearly a third of the district council represents Market Harborough wards, and there are 2 county councillors as well. It's been mentioned that it's an overwhelming poll in favour. Well, actually, only if you do the maths, it's actually only 21% of the population in the unparished area actually voted in favour. That means that 79% didn't vote or express a view. Well, that's a very significant number of people, and I have to agree with the leader on that. And I'm not going to stand in the way of this, but I'm just making some factual comments. Councillor Knowles, you talk about, you said that if the centre of the new unitary could be dozens of miles away. Well, for many parts of the Harbour District now, Market Harborough is dozens of miles away from some of those communities in the district now. And that's just again a factual fact. I think there is a lot of devil in the detail that we don't know yet, because the only thing that's going to get transferred if this all goes ahead and all gets fully signed off in the end. The only thing that's going to get transferred or proposed to be transferred would be the allotments that are currently owned by or operated by Harbour District Council. All the other assets and everything else will be subject to negotiation after May 27. So just picking up Councillor James's point, you're not actually going to know what the actual parish/town council is actually going to be doing until after May next year, because that is what this is being proposed. So, and the facts are that whatever parish town council set up, it'll have no development management powers because the government is removing those later this year. You certainly won't be doing anything to do with adult social care or children's services, which are 73%, 74% of most of the costs of local government. So the only thing I've heard that is right is that the actual financial impact will depend on the future decisions of any new council. So I support the recommendation. Yes, I did say at a previous meeting, I didn't support the timing of it, but that was based on what I knew at the time. I didn't say I was against it, and I don't think anyone in the Conservative group said that either. Absolutely certain, we can go back and check the recording if anyone wishes to, but I know that we didn't say that. We were just conscious of the fact there's a lot of other pressing priorities, and we weren't convinced at that time, as were a number of other councillors who aren't members of the Conservative group, and that's why previously it did fail. But all credit to those people who've campaigned for it, but what we've now got to do, I think, as the leader's already said, there's nearly 80% of people who didn't express a view, so we now need to find out what they think about this, because it's quite important that there is a majority of the population of the unparished area who express some form of view either for or against it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor King. Councillor Graves.
Thank you, Chair. I will be supporting this. The town has spoken strongly out of the people that did vote. It is disappointing that many people didn't take part, but again, as has already been said tonight, that is democracy. As this chamber would expect a previous finance portfolio holder to go straight to Appendix 2, have a look at assets and transfers and liabilities and all that sort of thing. I am a little concerned at the lack of detail in this report. I'm hoping, looking at potentially councillors Dan and Page and maybe Councillor King and the leader, I'm hoping that there's a lot more work done behind the scenes already, because if in May there's a successful parish election, I say that in the town because we all appreciate that it's a parish council until it votes itself to become a town council. You may have many people without any experience of being councillors before, and I don't think anyone should expect that within a matter of months there's potential major decisions and lots of financial information on assets and liabilities and balance sheets and all that sort of thing. So I would strongly recommend that the Community Governance Committee rapidly in the next 6 months probably prepares a list with 3 categories: assets, liabilities, expected to be transferred, the core bread and butter business of any parish or town council in this district that is carried out by overwhelming number of parishes and the single town we have. There's probably going to be a list of assets and liabilities not expected to be transferred, and then there's going to be a bit of a grey area of, well, do they want this or not? Do we want to keep it or not? And there could be a lot of meetings to sort those out. So I think that there's a lot of work to be done in the next 6-8 months. I don't want to underestimate how much work it is to do. And I think that to be able to hit the ground running in May is extremely important for the birth of a very exciting new council for this town. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Graves. Are there any other councillors that wish to speak on this report? So Council, you're making decisions on this report. This has been proposed by Councillor Dan and seconded by Councillor Page. So if everybody's happy, we'll go to the vote. All of those in favour, please raise your arm.
So that's unanimous.
That is unanimous and therefore that is carried. As these recommendations are now carried and there are no further business, the time is 1 minute past 7 p.m. I declare this meeting is closed.